We will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
That second-term theme by President Trump is something political strategist and former assistant to President George W. Bush, Scott Jennings, now spends most nights on CNN trying to explain a common-sense plan to an often confused or skeptical audience.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I am not accustomed to helping your party do anything.
Yep.
But let me give you some advice. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Now, Jennings is putting his thoughts on paper with his new book, A Revolution of Common Sense, How Donald Trump Stormed Washington and Fought for Western Civilization.
I heard the president use that phrase in his inaugural address, and I thought, this really does sum up the political branding that he's applied to the Republican Party and to the conservative movement.
Jennings watched those values play out early in his life while growing up in the coal mining town of Dawson Springs, Kentucky.
I do come from rural West Kentucky. I'm the son of a garbage man and a factory worker.
It's an area once dominated by blue-collar Democrats who watched their party drift left as Trump filled the vacuum.
My dad was a big Clinton guy, Union guy. My grandfather was a New Deal Democrat, really. But my dad was also the first person to tell me Donald Trump was going to be the next president.
Given his deep ties to the Bush family, Jennings didn't see it that way at first. He supported Jeb Bush. But eventually, Jennings came around.
I'd been on the roller coaster with Donald Trump, and at a few moments, I was a little green around the gills on some of the loop-de-loops. But what I have come to realize is that the United States is the last best hope for the West. Europe has been overrun, and our president is standing on the front lines defending what we know as Western civilization.
And writing this book helped bring a stronger connection to Trump.
As a political actor, I feel closer to President Trump now than I ever have, even though there are things about him or decisions he's made that I don't necessarily agree with. But just what he's doing, the way he operates, I feel closer to him today than I ever have. I think that's true for millions of Republicans.
And that's why he sought to lay out how this is such a hands-on president and what his critics don't understand about him.
If you love Trump, you'll be smarter about understanding why he operates the way he does. And if you don't like him, you'll also be smarter for understanding how the opening days of this administration unfolded.
And readers can also take in why Trump is not really an isolationist president when it comes to foreign policy. On Israel, for example, Jennings believes a combination of curiosity, deal-making, and audacity played out perfectly.
I actually believe he was the only president, the only American president who could have pulled off the hostage deal because of his ability to get all these personalities into the room. He is a friend of Israel.
Jennings also explains Trump's connection to evangelicals, even if liberals in the media will never quite understand it.
We didn't hire this man to sing soprano in the choir. We hired him to guard the church door. And by the way, the barbarians are at the gates.
Scott, I think one of the questions, though, for you.
That must be the feeling Jennings feels most every night on CNN as he bats down liberal talking points.
Stay out of our doctor's offices and stay out of our bedrooms.
Well, I guess I'll have to speak up for the babies. They're not here to speak for themselves. Lord have mercy.
What is it like on that set every night? It's not even about so much defending President Trump as it is just kind of enlightening the panel.
What I've realized is some of my fellow panelists and people they bring on, I might be the only Republican they know. And if not, but for being contractually obligated to do so, they might not know any. My job is to translate from Red America how we are absorbing the news, why we see things the way we do, using my political experience and my authentic values to say, well, this is how this decision strikes me. I recognize you all are mad about it, but, here's how somebody from Dawson Springs, Kentucky is going to absorb it. And I think for our audience, it's a valuable perspective. I think it makes them smarter.
And on that subject, Jennings learned something else from researching his book.
And I'll tell you one thing I've learned. I don't know who the heck was running the country in the 4 years previous, but I sure as heck know who's running it right now. The nerve center of our government is the Oval Office, and it's right behind the Resolute desk. It is not diffused. He's got his cabinet in there. There are people coming and going. It's a bustling West Wing. The president, the elected president, is firmly in control of the country.
You can also feel confident that Jennings is quite familiar with common sense Americans, as all signs indicate he's one of them.
I'm Scott Jennings, and thanks for listening to the Flyover Country podcast.
His podcast is called Flyover Country because his interest goes beyond Washington and the urban areas focused on by most media. When he's not on CNN, he's home with his wife, 4 children, and the family bulldog, while also raising dozens of chickens, too. A messenger who resonates with the common American.
There's a gear that people who get elected president have. Trump has it. And he gives millions of Americans the feeling that he speaks for them in a way that they would speak if anybody ever put a microphone in front of their face.
Scott Jennings has a microphone, too, and he hopes his new book will amplify the message even more. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.